think that is everybody that should be joining us. So we want to go ahead and get started. Let me pull up the agenda. Oh. Okay, so I think we're ready to get started if you guys are ready.
Yes.
Okay. So we've established that we do have a quorum, even though Brian is missing.
Yes.
Yes, you just need the majority. So as long as 3 are is in attendance, we're good.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we're calling to order, and we've established we have a quorum. And we need to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Do I hear a motion that we accept those minutes, or does anyone have questions about them? No motion to accept the minutes.
Now make a motion.
Okay, any second?
I'll second it.
Okay, minutes are approved from last meeting. Are there reports of officers, committees, or staff, or anything else we need to report on?
I don't have anything unless you have anything, Chad.
I do not.
Okay, so we're moving right along. And we have Mr. Matlock on the phone.
Yes,
We're
ma'am.
under old business. So where do we start with that old business? Who you want to start that off, Mr. Matlock, or?
We can. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. There should be on the phone with us. Nick Roberts is attending again via phone or Zoom. Jake Lewis, our engineer, is on board with us as well. Should be online or the link as well. And we just want to basically follow up with where we stood in our last meeting as we had moved through, and greatly appreciate you guys again working through all the different zoning aspects and changing some of the rules and regulations to allow Nick Roberts and his team to put in the development there. What you guys should see, and I apologize, I am actually not on my computer. I'm driving in the lower part of Alabama, but I'm very familiar with the plans. But what you guys should see on the development plan is now all of the lots with the actual condo layout, and you're going to see those basically paired in 4 units, 2 units, 4 units as they kind of go up both sides of the road as the layout has been presented. I think we ended up with around I believe around 28 to 30 different condo units as you go up. I'm going to call it, for lack of terminology right now, condo lane. But you'll see that layout, and several people on the planning commission last time, and I can let Nick weigh in here, of what those condos will look like. And we've actually submitted plans to Chad and to Sarah that will show, again, the floor plan of those condos, and along with elevations showing the front and the rear and the sides, and with some color renderings too as well. So hopefully all of that you guys have seen and looked through that, or at least looking at it as we speak now, of what's being presented. So from that perspective, I believe we've kind of have moved through this project very rapidly to get the information back, and so you guys can again continue along with us in getting this project from the drawing board into reality in the field.
So did everyone get a chance to look at the new plans that they have sent in, or is this the first time for some people?
No, I was able to look at them.
Okay. So really, so the big change is, like Mark said, is they've kind of changed their condo layout. So you can see that they have the most on each lot is 4. Let me pull up. So here is the layout that they have submitted for us. So you can see there's a master bedroom and then 2 other bedrooms. So they're all 3-bedroom units. We can kind of go through. There's the roof plan of those. And then here's a little rendering with an elevation of the front. And there's the rear elevation. So they're all going to be 1 story and then 3-bedroom units is what they're proposing for us right now. Let's see if I can pull through. And then these are the graphic renderings that they have presented to us as well.
Okay, so I do have a question. So there'll be no common parking lot. It'll be everyone parks in a driveway. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it looks like from what they've sent us, it's going to be a shared driveway.
Okay.
So that's all the parking they're going to have. And then the 1-car garage that each unit will have. So I know Chad and I did discuss parking, and we were going to bring that up during the meeting, because if this is all the parking they have, that could lead to cars getting blocked in. And if there's 3 bedrooms, that could be at least 2 to 3 cars. So that was something we were going to discuss this evening.
Yeah, that was one of my concerns, was you get cars parked out on the street. The street's rather narrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is currently what they have for the condos. So I'll go back to the larger view of it.
Hey, Sarah, could you go back to that rendering real quick? I wanted to ask
Yeah,
a
of course.
question while we were on that. What it looked like from the aerial view, it looked like it was going to be 4 units per lot is how it was laid out. Is that correct? And if it is, on that rendering where it just shows the 2 units side by side, I was curious what it was going to look like with the other 2 units added on to the end of it. How are you going to have them laid out with the garages and the driveway access? And, I look at some of these plans like this one she's got up there right now with the windows on each end. What about the 2 middle units?
Well, Chad, what those were, they actually will be butting together like with any kind of a condo. And what we tried to do with this, if you remember one of the first layouts that we had done and we're proposing, this was very much in its infancy as we were moving through. The density was a little bit higher. We were thinking about going with a townhome arrangement. But what Nick and his team have decided, which I think is a great decision, we've lowered the density, and we've allowed, again, where we're putting all 3 of these bedrooms on the same level, which basically, by doing that, we take up more land area, but we're decreasing the amount of the condos overall. But when you've got one of those internal, unless we start staggering back, and maybe there's a way that we can do that, we've not thoroughly worked through all of the design criteria when it comes to the specific condo arrangements. But if some could maybe push back, a few feet to allow for a side window or something, but we'll have to work through that design concept to make sure that we've got good means of access and egress coming out of those bedrooms, if that's what you're inferring to.
No, I'm not really taking issue with that. I don't have an issue. I was just curious what the drawings that were submitted where it shows just 2 units side by side. Are you going to have 2 sets of those just with butted up next to one another where it looks the same on the front, but you just add 2 more units on the end of it? Is that what the overall design, like that right there? Well, that's that driving, but
yes, what you'll actually do, you'll basically twin those. So you'll actually have, if I believe it shows right, and I got the plans right in front of me, but I think it shows 4 units per lot. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. And so what happens is the plan that you've got, excuse me, the plan that you guys are seeing there is for basically a double unit that shows how we connect the garages, and you'll just mirror that again to do a four unit arrangement per lot.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to verify that.
Yeah, it would be,
Right.
yeah, you would just take that and just add it right next door to it.
So they won't have any side windows, is that what we're saying?
It'd just be for the two interior units.
That is correct. Yeah,
Right.
unless we push and pull, and we may end up doing that. We've not got into the specifics of looking at that, but there could be a situation that where we might be able to push and pull one unit away from another one, front to back a little bit to gain an extra window on the side of a unit, possibly. I don't want to commit to that till we get to that point.
Yeah. One concern that I might have is a fire break between the units.
Yes, or by IBC code, we will have to have, each one of these units will not have a 1 hour. It will have to have a 2 hour firewall between them.
Okay.
That is in that's in the International Building Code, and we have to maintain that. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Nick. We were just the main idea and kind of feedback we got from a lot of local people, and not just in Spring City, but Dayton, around the area, was nobody really likes the multi-level townhomes, and we have 9 units there in Dayton, and people get turned away by the stairs. So the idea was to really keep these things on one level and maximize the 3 bedrooms, whether people want to have it as a master bedroom and then the kids' room and then an office or a study, or they have a couple more kiddos, and then people really wanted to have a garage as well. So without having this footprint expand all the way across the entire layout, and we're able to go 1 garage and then 1 car behind it. We're definitely still working through piling up cars, in the driveway. Obviously 2 cars, probably not a big deal. There is an option even to bring the driveway kind of in front of the porch area, but not really crazy. My wife really isn't crazy about that for aesthetics reason. She don't really want to see a car parked in front of the living room. So, and then obviously we'll have the sidewalks out in front of the road so that the condo community will kind of connect to itself from the top, down to the bottom, even across the street. So still got to tweak the final driveway layout, but we thought 2 cars was pretty good. And having a garage we thought was pretty big as well. So we wanted to get the major concept and everything out to you guys. And I know Mr. Evans was kind of curious how they were going to look. So we wanted to keep them as homey as possible without making them feel like condos, right? We want it to look like a house, but it still, be the condo flair where you can, they can sell them if somebody buys it and they rent it, however it works out. So we wanted to get the majority out to you and then take feedback. And then once we have that, we can probably in April's meeting, have it 100%. We wanted to get 95% there and then finalize everything next meeting.
The number 1540 that I see on these drawings, is that the square footage for each unit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we were shooting for that. We wanted it somewhere between the 1200 gets a little tight, 1800 is a little too much because then you start putting price tags to it. So that 1500 was kind of our sweet spot to get everything that we wanted. We like the Jack and Jill bath setup, big master bedroom, want a nice little cozy little fireplace, good sized kitchen, walk-in closet. We wanted, we're trying to marry up both things to have all the amenities, keep the square footage down and keep the price down. And we've tried to get as close to that as we possibly could with this little floor plan.
I did have a couple questions about 2 of the lots on the plan. So I know a couple of you are driving, so you may not be able to see this, but you have lot 17, which is above all of the condos. What are your plans for that lot? Because it's kind of off to the side. And in your chart, you have it listed as single family, but it's zoned for C4, so it's still in that area. So I was just curious to what your guys' plans were for that.
Yeah, well, the idea of that is I wanted to get the really close to the number of condos that were gonna be final. This number right here is 30. Their maximum that we would add from here to April would be another 1 or 2 maximum. So the only thing is I had Mark and Jay leave that as it was, because if you see that end condo unit, actually 2 of them, we may just take those and just swing it up into that lot 17.
Mm-hmm.
And if we did that, it would basically just kill the rest of it. So if I swung that up and around and kind of brought everything up north by northwest, just, I don't know how many feet, but a little bit, it would kill the lot. But what it would do is it would kill it for us commercially. But what it would do is create green space between us and Miss Lynch up on the top of the hill. So I think she would feel better about it. So we've just kind of left that as it is. It's not going to be sold off as a single unit. There's not going to be access. We're going to just kind of drag our condos up a little bit further because we can't go all the way up north with it because of the way the cul-de-sac is, right? So we're going to just bring it up a little bit further, access it from the cul-de-sac, and then the whole back side going to North Hillcrest Drive will just be green space and buffer between that and the rest of the community.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious because in the previous plans you had sent us, it did say that it was going to be like a recreational area or like green space. So I was just curious because it changed, but that clarifies it.
Yeah, we may, that's not a bad idea. I mean, we could make that like a little place to walk your dog, or it won't be anything, maybe like a little trail in there, but it'll be more landscape buffer, dog walk area to keep our area kind of separate from the North Hillcrest. And I think that's what we've agreed with the community from the front end. And I don't want to, we're not going to change that. It'll either be landscape buffer or just like you said, like a little rec park type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little dog walk area.
Okay. And then there was one other lot kind of between all of the condos. It's lot 37, and you have it as a landscape buffer area right now, but it currently doesn't meet the square footage requirement for a lot size. So I was wondering what you guys were thinking option wise of what you're going to do with that, since it doesn't meet the square footage requirement.
Yeah, it's going to kind of go along with the same way as that lot 17. We didn't want to, really jam these in to where we couldn't make any, kind of changes or any kind of movement. So we left a little bit of buffer space in and around. So say the feedback from the city was, okay, we're going to add a little buffer space here. Well, we just kind of left that the way it was so that we separate out, move a couple things north, move a couple things south. And it's the same idea. It's only going to be used as kind of wiggle room, I guess you could say. We're not going to build anything else there. And what we're trying to do is let the stormwater area, once it finalizes, then we're going to finalize the 37, which it's another, like I said, by the April meeting, we'll have that everything zipped up 100%. But we got the number of units really, really close, and we didn't want to add anything else just to give ourselves wiggle room in case we needed to add, like, let's say a place for mailboxes, or we needed to add like overflow parking or, something like that. Then we still have options,
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, no problem.
And then I know you mentioned earlier about the sidewalks. This is just out of my own curiosity. Are you planning on extending those into the single family as well and kind of connecting the whole development, or are you just going to keep that within the condos?
Nick, I can answer that one, probably because of the price points we're trying to achieve, because Nick's looking to me to run all the final budget numbers. And from where we're at right now, and there's probably not a surprise, again, to many people, it's in the development or the planning or like you guys are, but costs have increased so much just in the last several months. And it could be from wood framing, asphalt shingles to the project paving, or again, just concrete all the way across the board. And I think at this point in time, that's going to be one of the things that we could not commit to sidewalks throughout the residential part, the single family.
Is the electrical utilities gonna be on poles or underground?
No, we're looking to put this, sir, we're looking to put it underground.
Okay. Thank you.
I think those are really the big points that I wanted to address this evening. Chad, did you have anything else you would like to ask them?
Sarah, do you want to circle back around and talk about what Mayor Evans brought up earlier about the parking and some of the things we discussed about options?
Yeah. So for the parking, like we were saying earlier, we just have that single garage. Let me pull that back up on the rendering. So right now, all the parking really is the garage space for each unit and then maybe 2 or 3 cars within the driveway. I think my issue with it is just getting that driveway so blocked in and having cars get stuck in there because you are sharing it with another unit, so another family. And I'm just nervous that there's going to be so many cars blocked in and it's just going to be kind of a mess to get in and out of the driveway if there's more than 3 cars really for each unit. I know you mentioned overflow parking. Potentially, is that something that could potentially go in lot 37, or what are you guys thinking for overflow? Because I think it would be better to keep it out of the streets if possible, since we're going to have those sidewalks to keep those kind of open. But I was just curious to your plans for overflow.
Yes,
Thank-
that's,
let me- Nick?
Mark, you want that one or you want me to?
Yeah, no, again, what we'll have to do is a little bit more definitive. Like I say, we just actually, and I apologize. I'll help Nick here just a little bit. Nick probably won't say this, but I can, because the architectural information that we're gotten, especially on these condos, we actually got these things, Sarah, and again, we just forwarded them you pretty much when we got them.
Mm-hmm.
Nick and his team is down in Texas, and so we basically lost about a week, if not 10 days, and this is not an excuse, it's just reality. So by the time that we got these and started laying it out, we wanted to get them to the Planning Commission so you guys could see this information of what it was going to be. But Nick's team, they were basically, and of course all over the news, but hit with a tremendous ice storm and shut, as you guys, we've all seen here in Tennessee, shut everything down. So they were kind of hamstrung, so to speak, in getting us information as everybody was trying to recover. So we didn't get to the full depth of detail, Sarah, on a lot of this information. Once we got it, we wanted to kind of get something down as we had promised the Planning Commission that we would do. So we're going to have to probably fine tune just a little bit more on some of this information that you're asking about, and update this in the next week or so as we move through this. But we wanted to get this on the agenda and at least let you look at the style of the floor plan and the density, which we've now decreased, to these all of these one level units. So, that's one of the things. But I think you bring up some good point. There are certain pockets that we can do some overflow parking around and do a little of the shifting and adjusting to accommodate, because I think that could be an issue moving forward. Maybe not everybody here is going to be stacking into a 3-bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
but certainly depending on the price points that you have here, it could be where at least 2 bedrooms, could have, be taken up, and you could have, again, just in a 2-bedroom, you could end up having 3 cars, depending upon what the arrangements are for a husband and a wife, and if they have an older, child that's driving or whatever.
Yeah, thank you for that. I just think the overall concern was just what if you do have those larger size families and there are going to be more people driving, and then if people are visiting as well, you're going to have visitors parking. So we just kind of wanted to address that before anything was set in stone, because there could be, if someone has people over, there could be like 6 cars going to one unit. So we just want to kind of keep that to where everyone's staying on their own side of the unit, since they are sharing that driveway.
Right. No, we totally get that. And we need to fine tune and work through some of those details. But we literally got the, I guess, the condo plans very quickly in the CAD format, put them on here just to kind of print them out and let Nick look at it and get back with us. And so it kind of come in very short order, like I say. So I apologize, to those on the planning commission, that it's not totally complete, but we do need to tweak that. So.
I do have a question in going to the same line of questions about the driveway. From the looks of the drawings, that it looks like there is really room for like a 2-lane in that driveway. So there was 1 lane would be for one condo and the other lane would be for the other. Is the dimensions as far as the width of that driveway that we're looking at, is that, am I looking at that correctly, or is that wider than what it looks like on the rendering?
No, that's exactly what you're looking at. If you look at how the garages are laid out, and again, we can possibly go in there and put a little bit more separation as we fine tune these. We were taking the information as we received from the architect in Houston, Texas, that's working with Nick and his team and his wife being a designer too. But we were taking those CAD drawings and putting those templates down on our plan, but we may have to expand that just a touch. But what you just said is actually true, of where the concrete pathway to each garage is for all intents and purposes, call it single lane. From that standpoint, as you see the walkway going into as well.
I do have a suggestion, because I'm in the market, so to speak, as far as for condos or a home. And so one thing for me, that would be an issue if I was looking at this to purchase. One thing that I would, and I'm single, so I don't have, a family. I don't have that particular arrangement. But just like Sarah said, if I have anyone come to visit, more than 1 or 2 cars, then, that's going to present an issue. What I have seen, and I don't know if this is something that you would like to consider, is having it's not really a landscape in between, like straight down the middle, but it's almost like you could put, I've seen some put a rock, kind of a culvert in between, just to kind of put that buffer in between the 2 driveways. But it would be helpful in either case to have it wider, to where that at least you wouldn't be that 1 lane going in. So, people would have to back, basically if someone else needed to get out and they were blocked, then, that would create issues. So that's just my personal observation on this, but that's something that I know for myself, that would be an obstacle for me if I was looking at that to purchase.
No, absolutely. And we certainly understand that, because you, as you said, you are a potential buyer and you're in the market, and that's extremely important that we hear that. And also too, Nick and his wife that's on the other line, hear that too as well, because those concerns, the concerns that you have, are going to be exactly what the general marketplace is going to have out there too as well. And that's extremely important. So we're going to have to solve that issue and address that, and not just be, bury our head in the sand, so to speak, and not listen to what the market's going to drive.
I have looked, not extensively, but I have looked at several places, and the ones that do share a driveway, even if it's wider for more than 1 car, to me, it's just, not to say it's a complete, a no-go, but that would be a great hindrance for me if I could find somewhere else that didn't have, that had more adequate parking and had something that was more my personal driveway, and then they would have their personal driveway. But the layout of the actual condo and the outside and landscaping, I really like. But that is one thing that I would particularly be very concerned about in looking at that the way it is right now.
Yes, ma'am. And I think that's extremely important. And we certainly, again, I value that input, and I do mean that sincerely because, you know, sometimes we look at these things over and over and over again, and you know, we kind of get blinders on sometimes even our office when we're looking things and designing and trying to meet deadlines. So this is why this whole system works, and we certainly appreciate, you know, what you're telling us, and we will take that into heavy consideration on how we adjust that to alleviate that issue.
I saw one just as a comparison that was in Evansville, and it was very similar as far as the driveway was concerned. And the one condo they had for sale, the one, you know, that was connected to it, of course, it was a shared driveway, but they had children and they had basketball goals and everything else out, which is not a problem. But again, if you're talking shared driveway, that creates an issue. And so, like I said, it would be better if there was some sort of buffer, you know, even if it was just, you know, like a culvert or a little small ditch line of rock or something, to where that, you know, you have that clear boundary between the two. But also it would be, if you couldn't do that, or in addition to that, at least have it to where you can have more than one lane, you know, at least a little bit wider, just so you wouldn't have to have that potential possibility of people getting blocked in.
Exactly.
Those units you were talking about, Stefano, did they have single car garages or a dual car garage?
The one I was looking at was single car.
And how many units? Like how many
Or
bedroom
two.
units?
I cannot remember the bedrooms, but I do remember that they were 2 units. It just similar to this. I mean, the construction, you know, obviously the outside was different, but they did have, it was a shared driveway. It was 1 car garage in between the two, or for each one. Sorry, for each one.
Yeah, I was just curious. I was looking at some other designs while you were talking about that, just pulling some up on the internet. And usually when you get up to more bedrooms, a lot of townhouses are multi-story, and I get what you're saying about the market. I think a lot of people would like the single story better, but when you still get into units like this, usually you have about a 2-car garage. And I know that's not really, you know, if you were to do that where you are, you'd probably end up losing units that way to do that. But, you know, it's just stacking cars in a single file that doesn't make it practical for families of multiple vehicles. But you also don't want to have a whole paved front yard for parking either, because that's not very attractive either. And once you've got a good looking design, I don't think you want to mess that up either with lots of cars in the front yard.
Yeah, that was our only,
Right.
that was our only deal, was we could have kind of ran so you had single, so like what Ms. Mutch is saying, you could actually run like a landscape fence or just actually shrubs in between the 2 units all the way down about halfway down the driveway. This rendering is a little bit off, right? I mean, it shows it really, really deep. It's just an architect's kind of concept, but like if you ran shrubs or a little fence in between, and then you could actually peel off driveway in front. But yeah, it just kind of takes away from the curb appeal, because then when you're sitting at your living room, you're kind of looking at, you know, parked cars, which it solves the convenience part of it. It doesn't solve the aesthetic part of it, but it's definitely something that we've spent a lot of time talking about, especially in my house, because there's got to be a way to figure it out. And we're headed down the right path, but we'll definitely have them split. How the extra car tube gets around is still it's still up in the air. We're still coming through designs and working with our architect, and, you know, by our next meeting, I think we'll have something that'll
I think your plans are coming together a lot better. Sarah and I were talking about that, and I like that you've included the road on the north end to connect all of it together. I think that's a lot better option there at the top.
Yeah.
And I like the layout, but, you know, Sarah and I were talking, the biggest thing we kept coming back to is the issue of figuring out the parking for each of the units to make it more practical, and then having some overflow parking somewhere so that when people do have others over, and, you know, that there's other places for them to park there in the neighborhood. But that really came out to be the biggest issue we see with what's left here.
Okay, good. That means we're close. Yeah.
I looked up that condo that I was referring to, and it was 2 bedroom, 2 bath, almost 1,500 square feet is what it was, but it was a single car garage for each unit. with a shared driveway.
Is I think one of my other concerns with parking, I just now thought about, is because since we do have that connector road on the top portion, I don't want to see people start overflowing from the multifamily into the single family and then trying to park in front of those houses as well. So that's also something to consider. So I think looking into a way to fill this overflow parking need would be very beneficial to keep the multifamily out of the single family too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's the only drawback to connecting that road up around the north side was to have because we had the buffers, but it flows a lot better.
Oh,
That
yeah.
connection, but now, yeah, I agree with that. 100%. I fully trust Mark and Jay will have it figured out here in the next week or two.
I think those are really the big points that I wanted to address tonight. Does anyone else on the commission have anything they would like to ask?
I might, Nick, what do you think about if you come out from the condos about 20 feet and then separate the driveways and put them on a gentle Y shape so that you come out with a common driveway and then split them and have a grass strip between them when it gets to the road?
Oh, so they're wide at the road and then they come into a single, or they're single and then Y into the condos?
They're wide at the road and then they come together at the garages or within 20 feet of the garages. That way you could still have your access to your garage, but it would be difficult for one side to block the other side in anyway. And if somebody did get blocked in, it'd be the people that was in that one unit.
Yeah, and then have something split where they come together, maybe like
Right.
some shrubs or something.
Maybe some shrubs or something to define it. And they don't have to be split a lot, but just something that defines them. And I think somebody suggested that earlier, maybe rocks or something.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Because you're really not talking about a lot more material. You're just taking what you had existing and split, right?
You just have a little more forming to do, but I think it would solve so many cars stacking up and trying to back across and get into the other lane to get out, and which would probably create problems too.
Yeah, no, it would. Yeah, that's really not a bad idea. Have some kind of little green space or a little strip of yard there in the middle.
Little strip of yard.
Gate, and it splits and then comes back together and then come into some shrubs, and then that way everybody kind of feels like they've got their own little
Right, they got their own little area.
place,
And yet it wouldn't take any additional concrete. You just have some more form work.
Right. Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all.
That's the only thing I see is that issue there. So, and I'm sure that can be worked out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's just a matter of just tweaking that final little entranceway, and then, like we talked about earlier, we left ourselves some room to maneuver around with overflow, and yeah, it's like you said, you don't really want the two merging together, which is good because we've got, on the top side, we've still got good buffers right there between lot 16. You still got a good buffer at lot 18, lot 23, lot 1 still good. Yeah, we just got to figure out a way to just tweak that little parking. I think we've got it. And I think the last thing was you were just curious about the proposed slope of the main public road coming around.
Yes.
Yeah, he's almost, I think, and Mark, you might be able to talk to this one, but I think they're within another week or two of having that finalized as well. They're about 85, 90% through it. I think they've got your maximum grade requirements and everything, and they're just waiting to hear back from a couple of different subs, and then after that, it'll be finalized. So within 2 weeks, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to overstep my boundaries here, but I think 2 weeks is we're going to be super close.
No, Nick, you're spot on again. Yeah, we've for all intents and purposes pretty much finalized our, the road profile, the grading plan. We've just not submitted it yet. We just want to make sure that we got the comments back from tonight. And as we're also too working on, again, the water, the sanitary sewer, electric, and all of that, as it all kind of coordinates together as we work on those slopes. Water not being so much of an issue, but obviously the sanitary sewer is, and how we stage that all the way through the site. But yeah, we should be able to submit the grading profile on the roads. Jay may be on here too still. If he's still hanging with us, he may be driving as well. But of what that looks like. So we should be getting something back within a couple of weeks for sure.
And then, Sarah, they're going to they redid the C4. I noticed no note, so there's no need to redo all the zoning lines. Is there going to be a new zoning map that kind of issues once this is finalized, or do you have that already?
Yeah, I have the new zoning map. I can send it to you three after the meeting if you would like.
Perfect. Yeah, just for reference. That way I
Yeah,
know,
of course.
something down the line changes, just make sure I don't, get outside the proper zones there.
Yeah,
we
I
put
think
the
all
map
of your what you have is all within the correct zoning, but I can definitely send you guys that map. So
Sarah, could you move the map up just a little bit where we
Yeah.
can see the entrance way?
here, let me just zoom out a little bit.
Is the entrance still on New Lake Road?
Yes.
Okay. I guess what we're wondering is it far enough away from that curve? There's a curve right there on 302,
Mhm.
and we won't make sure people have enough reaction time if somebody's pulling out there.
Yeah, we for sure think so on I guess it'd be the south side by the medical office. And that's another reason why we've got it so close to the medical office to give you that reaction time in between us and I think it's Mr. and Miss Peavy House that own the house kind of up the hill there,
Yes.
Mhm.
So we've come as close as we possibly could to the medical office. That way, that line of sight right there, especially in the fall and summer when it gets thick, give as much room as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. We looked at a couple of different options, and that was our best case scenario right there.
Okay. Yeah. We talked about maybe accessing somewhere else, but I can't
Yeah.
quite see the dimension on there. But
Sarah, I'm going to hijack your screen here for just a second.
Go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
This is the old plan, but I kind of just laid it out on the aerial map. So if that gives you a little bit better idea of what it looks like in perspective to what's around it.
Oh yeah. That's much
Yeah,
better.
And here is the entrance area down in here.
Yeah, what I was concerned with, Chad, is that curve. And if we're far enough away from that curve, then we're good. I just didn't want to be too close into that curve.
Yeah.
But it looks like that's okay.
So yeah, if everybody's good with us, we're about another 2 weeks from having this thing wrapped up. And then in the meantime, feel free to reach out to myself, Mark, or Jay, or anybody, and we'll answer any more questions. Obviously, we'll be working on the parking, and then just tweaking the final condo layout, which won't change much at all. And we'll have the sidewalks in there. We'll have the drainage, all that retention pond area finalized. And hoping, I guess there could be another meeting around this time, April, to I think, Chad or Sarah, that's kind of when we get not final approval, but kind of permission to kind of go forward with everything that we've presented. Is that the way I understand it?
I'll jump in on that one. Yeah, so next steps now, I think after looking at your layout, it's really, like I said, it's really coming together at this point. So once you have your utility plans ready for us to start looking at, which sounds like those are close, if you're ready to start proceeding with a preliminary plat for this development and get us those engineering plans, so they can have their engineer look at it, we can start talking about moving forward with a preliminary plat, which would be the first step to really getting started. And once that's approved, you can actually start with your road and utilities and start construction on the townhouse units themselves. So, that's the next major step. So when all that comes together on your end, if you'll submit that to us and, give us plenty of time that we can start looking over those plans and get their engineer involved, and we can actually start looking at putting on an upcoming agenda.
Right, Chad, and again, like I say, we are real darn close on getting all of that stuff finalized and getting it over to you guys to review. But obviously, based on tonight's conversation, we know that we've got a little bit of tweaking, not so much on the single family, but on a little bit, as Nick was saying, to kind of push and to tug and to take in maybe spreading these out just a little bit more so we can get and answer these questions, which I think what the information that Stephanie was giving us, like I say, is very valuable information for us to get this thing resolved. So before we get to the final plat, hopefully we'll have that finalized in about 2 weeks.
All right, that sounds good.
You guys
All
have
right,
come
it
a
sounds
long
like
way. I'm sorry.
we
I was
have
gonna say, go ahead.
yeah, Nick has had his foot on the gas on us for this whole thing. So he is the driving factor. We want to meet all of these strategic deadlines, and we've done that. Even with Nick working down in Houston with all of his architects working on this, he's been a champ to get this information to us so we can get it to you guys. But sounds like Nick is ready to write a sales contract now tonight. Sounds like to Stephanie on one of the condos. If I read the conversation right.
Yeah, if you can solve the parking issues, yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah,
I got you.
that's easy. That's easy. All we need is a little down payment, and then we're gonna figure out the rest of it. That's easy. Yeah,
Well, I was just going to say thank you because it looks like you've come a long way in a relatively short amount of time, all things considered.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of there's a lot of people that help with it. I mean, Martin, Jay, and his team. You guys have been really easy to work with. Miss Brenda helped us a lot on a bunch of front end information, and it's just it's been a smooth transaction. We just try to take a bunch of feedback in and not try to make a circle fit a square. We want to make sure that something goes into the city that benefits everybody and not just what we think is going to happen. So we do take your feedback serious. I know some people may say that, but there's a lot of time and effort and money spent in taking people's feedback and actually incorporating in these drawings. I mean, you can attest to that by looking at the first drawing and then looking at what we're here now. We've Mark and his team he's taking a lot of phone calls and text messages from me on what we're gonna do here and what about this, what about that. So it's a good team effort. There's a good group of people that are working on it, and I'm proud to be part of it, and I'm glad y'all are helping out. So if y'all are done with us, we're going to sign out, and then we'll send the information as it's updated, and then we'll wait to hear back from you for the next meeting.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank
Thank you,
y'all.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Any other comments about that, or do we move to the next item on the agenda, the alleyway abandonment?
We can move on unless anyone else has anything to say about it, but I think we've covered everything.
Okay. Who has information about the alleyway abandonment? The proposed alley abandonment?
think that is Lee who is wanting it to be abandoned. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, that's
Mhm.
correct.
Okay.
What information would you like?
Lee,
You
that's,
want to tell us what you found out from calling 811 and about any utilities in that area? You want to fill them in on that information?
Yes, I did the 811. They went and marked it. All the utilities are within the where they normally are on Neal Street and Church Street. They're running north to south, and they are. That's it. I don't know what else to say. There are no utilities running east to west through the alleyway.
Okay. And Lee, that alleyway exists between, I think you said that was your mother's house and the lot that the church is going to build on there. Is that
That is, there. I spoke with the church. There are actually two lots there.
okay.
One wide and one's narrow, but it's all one parcel.
Okay.
The Hillarys gave it to the church or sold it to the church.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, but are the next steps just the planning commission making a recommendation to the city commission and then it'll go from there?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So I guess it will be you guys deciding whether you want to recommend or to abandon the alleyway or not to.
I mean, is it something we just vote on? That we say yes or no? I don't know.
Yeah, so I think it'll be like a normal vote. So someone will make the motion, then somebody will second.
Okay.
I think that's right.
Okay, does someone make a motion that we, the planning commission, recommend to the city commission that this alleyway be abandoned?
I'll make a motion that we proceed with going to the city commission with the proposed plan of abandonment on the alleyway.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So how does that recommendation get to the city commission then? Someone just use,
Stephanie will put it on
That's
the agenda.
okay,
Vote for that, though. We have a motion and a second, but we haven't done our vote yet.
okay. Okay, who's in favor of accepting this recommendation?
Just
Say-
have Brenda do a roll call.
Oh, okay, sorry. Go ahead, Brendan.
Patty,
Yes,
Leon,
Yes,
Lee,
I should abstain, correct?
yes.
Okay, abstain.
mhm,
Woody,
Yes.
okay, and then Brian's not here.
This will be placed on the next agenda, Lee. So,
Thank you.
And Stefano Sarah already has the ordinance drawn up for you too on it.
Mhm. So I can send that to you tonight or tomorrow morning.
that'll be fine.
But I think that was all on the agenda. Let me share my screen one more time.
unless there's any other business or new business. Doesn't appear to be any.
Nope, I don't think we have any unless anyone wants to present anything.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I
I
make
make
a
a
motion
motion
to
to
adjourn.
adjourn.
I'm sorry, what?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I
Aye. Okay.
Everybody have a good evening.
All right.
Yeah.